Who was fighter ace Walter Nowotny? Why did his name become one of the most talked about in aviation history? And what truly happened on the day he died? Hello again, and welcome back. This is World War II History Retold, where I explore the real stories behind the legends of the Second World War. Today, we are taking a closer look at the rise, impact, and tragic final flight of one of the Luftwaffe's most controversial fighter pilots, Walter Nowotny, a man whose reputation became legendary long before he reached the age of 25. Walter Nowotny's journey did not begin with aircraft. According to early accounts, he dreamed of becoming a professional football striker. That dream ended when war swept across Europe. In October 1939, he enlisted in the Luftwaffe and began fighter training at Fighter School 5 near Vienna. Like many young pilots of the era, he entered the conflict with ambition, discipline, and no understanding of the brutal air battles that awaited him. On February 23, 1941, Nowotny joined the 9th Staffel of Jagdgeschwader 54, known as the Green Hearts, stationed on the Eastern Front. His very first day included his very first combat mission and his introduction to two men who would shape his flying career. Hans Philipp and Hannes Trautloft, experienced leaders who immediately recognized his potential. His first confirmed victories came that summer on July 19, 1941, when he shot down two Soviet II-153 biplane fighters near the island of Oasel, but that success nearly cost him his life. Moments later, he was shot down by Soviet ace Alexander Avdeev. Avdeev's own aircraft was also hit, leaving both pilots injured. Nowotny drifted for 3 nights in the freezing Baltic Sea before finally reaching shore, suffering from severe hypothermia, but miraculously alive. The experience did nothing to slow him down. By September 1942, after 56 confirmed victories, he received the Knight's Cross. What followed was a streak of aerial combat success unmatched in the Luftwaffe. In June 1943, he claimed 41 victories. In August, he added another 49, and in September, he scored 45 more, making it his most explosive month of the war. During this period, he met the man who became his closest friend and long-serving wingman, Karl Quax Schnoerrer. Together, they formed one of the most feared fighter pairs on the Eastern Front. On September 1, 1943, Nowotny achieved one of his most astonishing accomplishments: 10 victories in a single day, split between a morning and midday mission. The following day, he shot down 6 more. His score climbed so quickly that on September 4th, he received the Knight's Cross with oak leaves, followed shortly after by the addition of the swords. By the middle of September, he reached 215 victories, and, on September 22nd, he received one of Germany's highest honors for fighter pilots: the swords to his Knight's Cross with oak leaves. His momentum continued until October 14, 1943, when he scored his 250th victory, making him the first pilot in history to reach that number. Propaganda immediately elevated him into a national icon, and he was removed from frontline duty by direct order of Hermann Göring. Diamonds were added to his Knight's Cross soon after, an award given only 27 times during the entire war. However, fame did not protect him from tragedy. His closest friend and wingman, Quax, was severely injured while protecting him from attacking Soviet aircraft. Another friend, Anton Dobele, was killed in action. Instead of traveling directly to Berlin for ceremonies, Nowotny ignored orders and stayed at Quax's bedside until superiors personally commanded him to leave. For months, he was used for propaganda tours and morale-building appearances, until April 1944, when he was promoted to command a fighter training unit. But the Luftwaffe soon needed its most experienced aviators to test and operate Germany's revolutionary jet fighter, the Messerschmitt Me 262. Through the influence of Adolf Galland, Nowotny returned to active flying duty. By September 1944, he was placed in command of Commando Nowotny, the first operational Messerschmitt Me 262 squadron, based at Akmer and Hesepe. He brought Quax with him, even though Quax was still recovering from his injuries. Then came the most tragic day of his life, November 8, 1944. American bomber formations approached, and the jets were ordered to scramble. Nowotny's aircraft initially refused to start, but after rapid repairs, he managed to take off. Moments later, he reported over the radio that he had shot down a consolidated B-24 bomber and damaged others. Almost immediately after, he reported engine trouble, possibly a fire in one of the jet engines. American fighter pilots later described what they saw. First Lieutenant Edward "Buddy" Hayden, flying a North American P-51 Mustang, spotted the Messerschmitt Me 262 dropping below the clouds. He descended after it, following the jet as it weaved through the tree line at dangerously low altitude. Hayden closed in so quickly, he nearly overshot. For a brief moment, he flew alongside Nowotny and saw him struggling desperately with the controls. Then, without warning, smoke poured from the jet. It rolled to the left and plunged into the ground near the Akmer airfield. Captain Ernest Feeblecorn, another Mustang pilot, fired from a greater distance, too far to cause serious damage, but both men were credited with the victory. At 12:45 in the afternoon, one of Germany's most decorated fighter pilots was gone. Nowotny's funeral was attended by nearly every major figure in the Luftwaffe. Hermann Göring appeared. Adolf Hitler observed from a distance. His parents received his decorations. Adolf Galland, who both admired and criticized him, described him as one of the most skilled deflection shooters he had ever seen, comparing him only to Hans-Joachim Marseille, the star of Africa. Yet even with all the medals, records, and legends surrounding his name, Walter Nowotny remains a complex figure, part hero to some, part tool of propaganda to others, and ultimately a young man caught in one of the deadliest air wars in human history. This has been another retelling from World War II History Retold, where I, just curious man exploring the past, bring forgotten wartime stories back into the light. If you enjoyed this deep exploration, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who enjoys history. More untold stories from the Second World War are on the way.